Alright, so for those of you like myself who are not very familiar with an air brake system, Harold's going to take a moment to kind of explain how it works. And if you could, why do you generally need a certification to use air brakes on a truck? Because oftentimes you need an air brake endorsement if you're going to use air brakes. Has the technology changed at all, or is it just something that is required anytime you have air brakes?
It's just required. You need to know the basic workings. They expect that if the brakes need adjusting, the driver's supposed to have the tools to adjust the brakes. The driver is responsible at the end of the day for brake adjustment.
Okay, so how do you work the air brakes on a truck like this?
Well, basically we have our trailer air supply. If we had a trailer hooked up, in order to release the brakes so you can move, on these trucks we have 30-30 double chambers. The secondary part of the chamber is there to lock down the brakes for safety. When you remove air, the brakes automatically lock up. So right now, all air is removed from the system, so this truck cannot move, nor if it had a trailer without air to it, would the trailer be able to move. You would drag your tires. The brakes are fully locked. In order to release trailer brakes, you push your knob. That then is pushing air back to the trailer. We have an air application gauge here that's showing air going. If I let off, if I apply air, you can see I've put over almost 60 pounds of air to the brake chambers on the truck. Once I release air on the brakes of the truck, I have to give it air to release the brakes. Now that I've released those brakes by applying air, my foot pedal is the only thing holding the truck and applying air. We have double chambers, so one is there for safety to lock down the brake chambers when there's no air. The other's there to apply the brakes. Once you've applied air to the system, then you're applying air to actually engage or disengage the brakes.
Okay. And when we came to a stop here, you pulled this lever out, and that's to release the air so the brakes lock up.
That dumped all the air with a quick release valve, and that basically locked the truck down, and it's safe to sit here now. It's not going to roll.
And that's always been something that I haven't really known. You know, you see different applications, you see people using air brakes at different times, and for people who don't drive trucks with air brakes, it's probably fairly Greek to you as well, so I really appreciate you taking the time to explain that. So how about I take it around the block?
Let's take it around the block.
Okay, I'm going to hop in the driver's seat, so
Right on.
We'll see how this goes. So I'll tell you, one of the really nice things of a truck with a cab this size is you don't have to get out of the vehicle to swap seats. He just moved over to the back. So this is what he's told me. This is how he's told me to move forward. Go ahead and put my foot on the brake. I'm going to hit the parking air brake forward. Wait about 5 seconds. It's going to add air to the system and allow me to actually have functional brakes. And because this is a fully automatic transmission, I simply hit the D on the front and the truck's now in drive. And he says it drives just like a pickup truck. So we're going to stop by McDonald's here in a little bit, go through the drive-thru, and
we'll be in our parking lot for a while. We've got a main road. It's easy for us to go down right there. It's a single building.
The throttle is definitely a little bit more sensitive on the low end than a pickup truck throttle. Oh, and the brakes are too. Yeah, it stops.
Longer axles. You're used to pulling a trailer, but the longer axles, you got to be careful on curves.
Oh, yeah.
Just feel it at 30, 20. It'll tell you you're in second, third gear. We're a full service operation. There's some old railroad tracks up here. You'll feel that it's not bumpy at all.
This is nice.
No, you shouldn't have anybody around us in this lane, so we should be okay for a while. The air ride seat comes up and cushions that load. We have an air ride cab, we have an air ride seat, We have air ride suspension in the rear. Everything is very, by the time you have 3 sets of airbags cushioning, it's very smooth.
I don't know the best way to put it. It feels actually far more comfortable than my F450.
I'm sure nobody's exiting now. Anybody. They're good in this one.
Gives me an opportunity to feel out the brakes a little bit too, though. Man, you can also just feel the power in this thing too. It definitely has that feel of really, I guess, instantaneous torque.
You got 1,850 foot-pounds of torque going to the ground, and you're missing a 35 to 40,000 pound payload back there.
Yeah.
This truck only weighs 20,000, so between trailer, we're 60,000 short here.
Am I going to swing up here and go around? Now, a question I have as well is, as far as like the cost of doing an oil change or something on a truck like this, what would it generally run?
Just the oil and filter change, $275 for us to do it. Filters, you're talking 11 to 12 gallons of oil. It's the same Shell Rotella Dello oil that you're putting in a Cummins engine or any other diesel. The filters are very inexpensive. You're talking $20 to $25 per oil filter. You have 3 oil filters on this engine and 2 fuel filters.
I am not having to learn the
Cut it hard.
the brake on this thing.
Yeah, this is your first ride. This will be good. We'll do this around a couple times, maybe. This is a fairly easily traveled road.
I'm not about taking risk in a $200,000 truck that's not mine.
Yeah, beautiful sunny day. That's one of our customers there. We custom ordered that Kenworth the exact way that driver wanted it.
Oh, really?
Everything right down to the satellite mounting dish.
And people get really crazy just like buying their vehicles, right? Their personal
Exactly.
vehicles.
Yeah, I've custom ordered several personal vehicles in the F350, because you said go with the 350. Chances are the 350 that I do next will be custom ordered if I can't find one I want with every single option. Because at the end of the day, I want the drop down steps.
Yeah.
I want certain things. I don't want this, but I do want that.
Yeah.
And that's the last time I ordered a GMC Denali. It was much easier just to order it the way you want and wait 6 weeks, and that's what a lot of our customers do, because they want what they want for their vocation and their business. A customer told me this morning, I've got some trucks coming in for him. I said, well, look, I've got 3 of these on the ground right now. He goes, Harold, I really don't need that extra $3,000 worth of stuff. It's not going to pay me back. I'll wait till the end of the month.
And that's what it comes down to, especially for business application. If they're coming in ordering 20 or 30 of these, they want them spec'd out to, just like we talked about, bring return on investment. So they may not care about certain things that if it was your personal truck, you might care about. At the same time, though, I know that the industry is always looking for good drivers. So I'm noticing the brake pedal is it's interesting. It's different than the brake pedal in a pickup truck.
It's air. The minute you touch it, you're applying 10 pounds to 20 pounds, maybe 30 pounds of air. You only need 50 pounds of air to fully lock these brakes up.
Okay. So you got to essentially learn over time to really feather the pedal in a way.
Very light. Wait for this guy. Especially when you're not loaded.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of drivers, bobtailing a truck, and we have these trucks. This truck has a 13.2 front end. We have the same truck with a 20,000 pound front end. When you're bobtailing a truck with a 20,000 pound front spring, front tire on the ground, it's bouncing around. If you don't have a trailer and have at least 15,000 pounds on that front axle, it bounces. The truck's driving you.
Yeah.
That's why fifth wheel placement is very important. Most of our trucks have sliding fifth wheels. You can slide the fifth wheel from the center tandems forward of the front tandem, anywhere from 12 inches up to 40 inches in front of that front tandem, depending what you're trying to do. Some of our trucks have drop axles, but on a tandem like this, we find that having the kingpin fifth wheel 12 inches in front of the center of the tandems seems to be perfect weight distribution for the front axle to both drive axles for maximum payload capacity.
So with a full load over the back of this, the braking system's not going to feel as the same as it does right now. It's going to feel not quite as surgy. It's not going to feel as if it wants to lock up.
Right now, that brake, that foot pedal, when you're applying it, the amount of air going through it to these 3 axles, the same amount of air that'd be pushing to the rear trailer. So you have a delay valve at the truck that delays it for this truck when the trailer's hooked up to allow full air to the trailer and allow air on the trailer to engage a split second before the truck brakes to engage.
Gotcha.
But you're supplying full air by that brake pedal. The same amount's going out right now that it would be going to a trailer. So right now we have 6 wheels or 6 drums on the ground. We're supplying air like as if there was a total of 8 drums being provided air.
So these trucks, and naturally I know this is extreme common sense, this truck is not really made to be traveling on the roadway, perhaps without a trailer behind it.
Not at all.
That's why, to really get the ideal use out of this truck, especially from a braking perspective, from an acceleration perspective, because even accelerating the truck, it's taking in mind that it's hauling upwards of a total weight of 80,000 pounds.
Correct.
So that makes a lot of sense. So while I admire this Anthem dash, I had a question, and this is again another question based off of the comments that people had posted. I know that Volvo acquired MACK, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's more of a misunderstanding. So Harold, could you explain who benefited out of that? Volvo acquiring MACK or MACK being part of Volvo? What was the deal behind that?
Both brand names benefited. Having been with MACK trucks for almost 30 years now, having come from American Honda manufacturing in the past, I'm true American. I want to buy American product. When Volvo acquired MACK, Volvo acquired an engine plant, a transmission manufacturing plant, a rear end plant. MACK was the only truck manufacturer that had a full driveline capability, 100% MACK truck. Gold Bulldog on the hood means it's all MACK. The steer axle is MACK. The engine is MACK, rear ends. So when Volvo acquired MACK, we're in a world global economy. Volvo had the foresight to realize we can't start engine plants, rear end plants from scratch. It makes much better sense to acquire a company that has already the technology, already has the foundry, the castings, and already has the engineers and the reputation of withstanding vocational, not knowing that the MACK rear ends actually work better on the highway than some other brand rear ends. Volvo uses the MACK engine in their Volvo trucks. They use the M drive, which they call an I drive. They just changed the name of the product to put it in a Volvo. But most of it is cast in America, assembled in America. I'm still proud to say I work for MACK trucks.
So let's take a look at the outside of this truck, and maybe I can learn a little bit more there as well.
The MACK rear end has an automatic power divider lock-in with a set of peanuts and a cam lobe inside. When one wheel slips, it'll kick out to grab. You can engage it with an air power divider, but MACK is the only manufacturer that has an automatic lock-in when it senses wheel spin.
You know, something somebody asked as well, and I know these are MACK axles, right?
Correct.
So they are placed in a different configuration than you generally see on like a Dana axle.
Correct.
And
MACK,
is there a reason for that?
You have a banjo housing, and this rear end is sitting on top of the housing where all automobiles, Danas and stuff mount into the front of the housing. Basically, this makes this rear end stronger in the sense that this whole gear train is sitting on top instead of being mounted in and waiting to fall out if the bolts come loose. This is all sitting on top. It's just a better, it's MACK's configuration. They had the patent on it. Nobody else is using it.
So it's basically designed to cradle the equipment versus have it essentially attached to the end of it.
Correct.
Okay.
It is much stronger for vocational and for highway in the long run.
So a question I just threw at Harold is, what's the deal with 22.5-inch wheels tire setup versus a 24.5-inch? And his answer to me was it has something to do with the amount of ground clearance you have. By going to a 24 and a taller profile tire, you're going to naturally have a little bit more ground clearance, especially under the fuel tank where there's maybe only about 16 inches here where you might get an extra 2 to 4 inches on a 24.5. But primarily it comes down to personal preference and looks, and people, just like in the light duty industry, want the best looking truck with the best looking vehicle, and in some cases with the biggest rims possible. So 24.5, I'd probably say, what would you say, the majority of people that opt for them simply because they like the look of a 24.5?
It is more vocational to the highway market's going to run 22.5s to save fuel, to have lower profile rubber. In the long run, it's rolling mass too. The taller the rubber, the more weight you have. It goes against fuel economy. In the past, most trucks have hood latches from Mack trucks. We always had a hood latch right here. Now with the Anthem, we have an actual lever up underneath the front of the hood here. Slide this lever over, and that unlatches both, and you can easily open this hood with one.
Wow, that's cool. And I saw that in one of the videos where you just grab the Bulldog, and that's actually
That's what we're grabbing a hold of.
Yeah. You know, what's really nice about these trucks too is that they give you just a tremendous amount of room to work around the engine versus the light duty market. A lot of people are big fans of Ram because they put a 6-cylinder in their trucks, but even compared to a big rig like this, being able to tilt the hood forward, you have so much more room to get to every aspect of an engine.
When you turn this front tire all the way out, you can walk in, you have plenty of room to stand in here on the left and right.
And that's actually one of the new points that GM is making about the new 4500, 5500 series, is that you can turn the tire out and it gives you room to actually stand inside this area here to work on it.
Serviceability is a big part of the design of this truck. All our AC parts are on the left. We have our windshield washer fluid. We have our overflow tank for antifreeze. Everything that needs to be serviced is on the far right of this truck. And then everything else for oil and all your liquids are on the left side over there, easily accessed.
So just like the other side, pretty much everything you need to service the truck with for general PM is going to be mounted on this side or the other side within reach.
Correct.
Because you really don't have a safe way of getting over the engine if you have to do anything. And naturally, these trucks have to be serviced routinely, especially because of all the FMCSA guidelines in regards to your pre-post-trip inspections, your DVIR, everything you need to ensure to make sure the truck's safe to be on the road.
Correct. For this heavy wind, you do have an anti-hood flip over. You have to release the hood so it'll close. Otherwise, you can't close this hood. In the heavy wind, if that wasn't there, this hood could close and hurt somebody.
You don't want to be standing here when that hood comes down on you, which I'll demonstrate. No, I'm kidding. And it's on hydraulic arms too, so it actually opens and closes quickly, and it locks the minute you close it.
This truck's got a 2500 watt inverter powering all 110 items in the cab. I think we have 4 to 5 110 plug-ins in there.
Now the body of this truck, is it predominantly steel, fiberglass, or aluminum?
Predominantly steel.
Okay, and I know a lot of trucks have moved to a fiberglass and a aluminum body, right?
Everybody's, yes.
And is the point of that similar to the light duty industry, where the lower curb weight, the lower weight you can make the vehicle, technically the more cargo you can carry on the vehicle?
Correct, and everything outweighs itself. This is easier repaired, it's very thin, but you have aluminum, you have composites. Everybody's trying different things to also cut down on noise.
Okay, that makes sense too, because with aluminum, you can go to a slightly thicker material because it weighs less. So you can, even though the component might weigh the exact amount when everything's said and done, the aluminum is going to be a thicker panel because it's a lighter weight material. So directly from my comments again, somebody asked me if both of these smokestacks are real, or is one fake, is one just for looks. And I saw in some of the truck websites that it's optional to get two. So what I asked Harold was, are these both real?
On this Mack truck, both stacks are blowing smoke. Other manufacturers have the dual stacks, but they're not even connected to each other anymore.
So it's just cosmetic? They're
cosmetic. These two stacks are blowing smoke.
Okay.
They are hooked up.
And you can actually see the splitter right here. So there's a splitter. You know what? You guys tell me what's next. Should we take out the Kenworth right here, the T800, or should we take out this Kenworth T680? This one is definitely going to be an OTR truck, and this one's going to be a heavy haul truck, which they also make this one set up for OTR as well. But guys, I want your opinion. Let me know what you think. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, let me know what else you want to see. I got a really good relationship with French Ellison. I'd love to come out here more, spend more time taking some of these trucks out, or just answering your questions and showing you some things about these trucks that you may not have known. For me, it's also a learning experience. Anyways, guys, I'll talk to you soon.